Hey, everybody.
Hello there.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to SexyNerdScience, Season 4, Episode 4.
Podcast not found.
Podcast. Well, whatever. We got a good show, as always, lined up for you here. But today, we want to let you know that Sexy Nerd Science is brought to you by Audible.com, where you can get a free month of Audible and a free download of one audiobook at sexynerdscience.com/audible. Josh, what's the most recent book that you have been reading on Audible or listening to on Audible?
I have about 10 minutes left of Unstoppable by Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Nice. So we're just going to jump right in here to sexy news here. Josh, do you like football?
I do like football. Probably the most out of everybody in here. Maybe not the most out of playing football, but I like football watching.
Did you are you okay? So obviously Super Bowl. We talked about it last year. Super Bowl LII is happening, and just want to know: are you gonna go visit any opposing team parties?
I mean, there's no such thing as an opposing team party for me. I guess I'm not rooting for either team. I just want to see some good old fundamental football. And I wanna see some touchdowns and some sacks and some two-hand touches, some recoveries, field goals, and all of that jazz.
I don't know what just happened there, but
I love football. Hug it, chug it. Football.
Dale, are you gonna go to any football parties?
So yeah,
Super
I'm
Bowl
actually
parties?
throwing one at my sister's house.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun at all. No one's coming.
Are you guys specifically gonna be rooting for anybody's team?
Honestly, the TV might not even be on. No one's going to be there. Is actually going to watch it. I think it'll be downstairs and we'll turn it on. But overall, it's going to be just.
So it's just a reason to hang out. Get together.
Just a reason to hang out. Yeah.
Fair enough.
It does maybe tinily affect Dale and I as Lions fans because Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator for the Patriots, most likely after this game is over, will be offered a head coach position for Detroit. So,
a couple bits here kind of go along with football just because we didn't put it in here and I just thought about it. Starting in 2020, the XFL is slated to be back.
yes.
Dale rolled his eyes.
Well, what is the XFL?
It is the extreme football.
Yeah, but what is it? What actually happens in the game? What's different?
It's less junky rules. Like there's no unsportsmanlike conduct rule.
That's not true.
What?
Unsportsmanlike conduct will most. So the idea behind the XFL, and this was from, I don't know if you watched the thing, players are getting hurt a lot in the NFL. So one of the things they're trying to curve with the XFL is they're actually going to have stricter enforcement of the rules about hurting players. So they want to make it a safer football game than what the NFL
celebratory unsportsmanlike conduct calls are not is not traditionally called in the XFL because that is not one of the ones, like that's something that Vince McMahon had said in there is like,
I guess
we're going
celebratory
calls are going to be less scrutinized and safety calls are going to be more scrutinized. But there's other rules that they're not going to that are not going to affect the game that are not safety rules, if that makes sense. It's basically minor league football.
But it's going to be pretty awesome. The other talk is that they'll actually have the XFL during the off season of the NFL. So then you'll be able to have
football all the time,
all year round, which will be kind of cool. I would enjoy seeing that. specifically teams that can play in domed arenas, I think would be the best, because then you can have it all year round. You don't have to worry about people.
Is it going to be anything? Is it going to be full size football, or they're not going to do any like arena football?
I believe it's going to be a full size football thing. I think they're still hashing it all out.
They're slated to have 10 team, or was it 8 teams?
I think it was 10 teams.
16 games or something like that.
No, I don't think it was going to be 16.
16 games per team. I don't know. No.
I forgot what it was going to be, but there's going to be a Final Four and then a playoff.
I think it was eight teams, 16 games per team,
possibly.
So that each team,
and then they'll eliminate 4 and have a Final Four, and then have a top 2, and then a playoff, like a championship game. That would make sense. But yes, so XFL, Vince McMahon. Awesome.
And then another little bit of wrestling news.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I forgot about wrestling news.
Ronda Rousey
signed
a contract with WWE. Full-time contract. She is in for the long haul. Rowdy Ronda Rousey.
So one of the things that Drew and I did yesterday was the Royal Rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble.
We watched that. Had a really good time. Watched that with some good friends. Haven't seen in a while. And just pretty fun thing. It was the first time that the Royal Rumble had a all women's Royal Rumble as well. So I thought that was an awesome thing to do. There's a lot of really talented female wrestlers. There always has been. And to see
those legacy wrestlers.
Yeah, the legacy ones come back and wrestle.
Lita, Trish Stratus. Even Vicky Guerrero was still like, I know that she is annoying and it was kind of over the top there, but still.
It was funny though.
It was funny.
It was just like Sheamus too. Like that was a really funny one. It was kind of over the top too. So yeah, on top of the Royal Rumble, there were some other matches that happened after the Royal Rumble. We had Ronda Rousey basically show up and just like literally didn't say any words, just showed up, pointed at the WrestleMania thing in the background.
I think she mouthed, I'll see you there, or something like that. But
but she didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then walked up to Stephanie McMahon, pointed, and then shook her hand. And that's it.
If you do recall, 2 years ago, The Rock had Ronda Rousey beat the crap out of Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah.
At WrestleMania in the they had the football field WrestleMania. I don't remember, 22 or something like that. I don't know what it is.
You know who would really know? Kyle would know. Kyle
or
Drew,
James.
Derek would know. James would know.
So what is Royal Rumble?
So Royal Rumble is a 30-man all for all battle, like basically Royal Rumble. The object is to throw the opponent, any number of opponents, over the top rope and be the last man standing in the ring. You are knocked out by going over the top rope and your both feet touching the ground outside. So there's a lot of acrobatics that happen, like people hanging onto the rope and what they call skinning the cat, whereas
they just dangle.
They dangle, but their feet don't touch and they get back in. And then once you roll under or get into the main area of the ring, you're back in the game or in the match, and then you're able to be thrown over the top again.
But I'm sorry, isn't this fake though?
No.
It is semi.
It's no more fake than Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones is fake.
What? That is historically accurate.
What I mean to say is, like, it's a fight that's predetermined already, isn't it?
Not always predetermined.
Yeah.
Like the fights are rehearsed,
Yeah.
but the outcomes aren't always predetermined.
Yeah.
How can you rehearse something and not know the outcome of something?
Kind of base it on crowd reaction. So like doing what the crowd want. Like, so if you know, you rehearse the the move set that you're going to do, and you get the crowd on your side. And then if you get the crowd on your side and you execute your move and you can pin the other person, you're essentially one person's conceding to the other person, saying like, okay, fine, you deserve to win, you win, or if there is like a larger story arc going, then they'll do that and they'll pre-plan something like that. However, it doesn't always go as planned. From yesterday's match, there was actually a player who got kneed in the head. Pretty tough, like pretty hard hit.
That was an accidental knee in the head.
Accidental knee to the head, but I mean, it was like a full force knee to the head. And then it was against Brock Lesnar, got hit in the head. And Brock Lesnar got pissed that he got hit in the head and then proceeded to just rip punches, like not like fake elbow punches, but like
actual,
UFC, just
like his
bam,
full power.
Yeah, into a guy's head.
He wasn't like pulling his punches.
But isn't that allowed? If
No,
it's not fake?
I mean,
that part was real. Like that part wasn't scripted. It was like if he
real
would have
emotion.
knocked him out at that time, he would have probably had to pin him, and that could have altered the entire storyline. They would have had to write around that. I mean, it's a written, here's how things are supposed to go, but there's still stuff that happens. And like if someone legitimately like tears their ACL, which has happened, or like breaks a body part like while they're playing, like the match usually has to end, and then on top of that they have to rechange the storyline and adapt how things are going to go.
So here's the end game is they can say, hey, this one person's going to win, just make sure you don't knock him out until X number of time. Do whatever you want in between. They do acrobatics and stuff like that, but you're in a sense right. It is scripted. But so say out of 30 people, you want one person to win. Just go, Josh. Hurry quick. So out of 30 people, you want one person to win. You say, hey, that person comes in at number 12. Don't knock them out. Just just kind of go with it. But yeah. So that's
but it's still very entertaining. Like people watch it not for the like
believability,
manpower over manpower. They watch it for the story. They watch it for the entertainment value and good acting, good athleticism. You still have to be very athletic to pull off a lot of the stuff in the WWE.
Dale, you want to talk about the Indians?
Yeah, sure. So I just read this actually today, wasn't aware, which actually came out today because we record on Mondays. For those of you guys who don't know, the Cleveland Indians are going to remove their Chief Wahoo logo from the uniforms, not the unicorns, in 2019. That was announced today, the Monday, the 29th of January, by the MLB commissioner, and it'll be changed to that block C that they already used on the hats. The team name won't be changed; it'll still be the Cleveland Indians. But because that chief is like a character, kind of makes fun of the Native Americans, they decided to change it.
So do we? I guess I'm interested to see. Does everybody have like? I mean, obviously that one is a more caricature style, but does anybody have any argument toward like the Washington Redskins or?
I would say it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's all cultural appropriation.
Yeah,
but so like I understand the Redskins is more of a verbal, but using the chieftain as a not even caricature, like an actual drawing or an actual like well done image. I mean, does that strike a chord? I mean, you still think it's appropriation at that point?
I think it's the same thing.
I mean, I don't know of a single sports franchise, and I mean, this is coming from someone who went to school and we were the chieftains. Like, you're still appropriating the culture. There was still a short white guy with a purple and white headdress that ran around carrying a big old flag, doing, I mean, predominantly racist Indian things,
which they have corrected for, or had tried. I don't know if I haven't been to the school in almost a decade, so. But I know at the point in time where we were still going, or I was still going to school, they didn't allow you to do the tomahawk at the rallies. They didn't let them wear the headdress anymore. As far as the actual school mascots, or they did have Charlie Chieftain still. But I don't know if that's necessarily.
And I mean, there's ways to do it where it's less inappropriate.
Well, I'm just saying, like, okay, so you take away all of the outwardly racist items for it, the non-Native American person dressing in a headdress, or a bad headdress or whatever, not culturally accurate. You take away all the stuff that makes it negative. Is it still a negative connotation to use the chieftain as the symbol for your team?
The symbols of the team represent somebody who's aggressive, and the Indians were considered by the U.S. government being aggressive, and I believe that's why people chose the Indians or the Chiefs or anything to do with Native Americans as mascots over the years, is because any other team, like in examples in Detroit, we got the Tigers, we got the Lions, we got the Pistons, which are Mustangs running through. It's all about that wild, or the animal that's strong, or the something that's aggressive, and I believe that's why originally the teams were chosen, or Indians were chosen in so many different things. I mean, hell, my high school was shared with we have three high schools in our when I was going to school, and the school still has the Chiefs as their mascot still. So
that's what I'm saying, is like, once you take, like, if you take away everything that I mean, I guess, I don't know,
the connotation behind it usually isn't there. You also probably don't have the support. I don't think there's a single team out there that has the support of Native Americans to use that. Unfortunately, there's not like Vikings around right now to be like, hey, we don't like that Vikings symbol, but there are still Native Americans who are like, hey, we are offended by this, we don't like this, so you guys should change it. And that's something that I think we should change. I've always believed that. And I mean, people are like, well, what other names could you choose? Like, if you pull up Madden right now and you create your own team and you look through all the different names of like the teams that you can create, there's not the racist ones in there. Like, I mean, there's like, you could be the Atom Bombs, you could be, whatever you want to be.
Yeah. Like,
you could be something that's not like, that doesn't offend. I mean, I can't say it doesn't offend people, because people get offended all the time. And that's, there's where it's warranted, and then there's where it's not warranted. I think this is a case where the offense being taken is something that's completely warranted by the culture that's being appropriated.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, is like, I agree with the caricature style drawing. I've never agreed with that. However, I haven't ever had an issue myself personally, and being partially of Native American descent. And my grandma was like 75% Native American, but the caricature was an issue. The actual chieftain, Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, Washington Redskins, albeit the name, you learn of the offensive there, but the actual symbol itself, or the mascot or the image, not ever really drawing offense, at least to me. But
yeah, but I mean, you gotta, the entire culture has like actively been like, we don't want to be associated with this, and they have been for a long time. Like even at Bellevue East, like we've gotten permission to use those things at Bellevue East High School, but it's still not something that they, like, to be fair, Bellevue West did it better. Like the Thunderbirds is a Native American idea, but it doesn't offend, until you start going in there doing tomahawk chops and wearing headdresses and, doing the Indian like, oh, noise. Like,
but Bellevue West only did it because that argument was valid after they came, Bellevue East had been around for 25 years before and had probably gotten those items. They still stuck with the Native American culture for that.
But I mean, like, just because it's the history doesn't, I mean, it should be changed. Like, I don't think anybody says it shouldn't. Like, the culture itself that is victim of these branding things, they want it changed, and that should be the only thing that matters. Like, whether we think we're doing it tastefully or not doesn't matter. I mean, the fact that the Indians had a bright red skinned Indian as their logo, and I mean,
so that's what I'm saying. I completely see the, I guess that whichever. But yeah, so they'll have the Block C.
There was an episode of South Park about this too. That actually did a fairly good job. The one about like naming rights.
Cool.
Maybe we can find it.
Also with MLB news though, spring training starts February 21st. Just giving you guys an FYI for that one.
Nice.
That's spring in February?
Yeah, since all their games take place in Florida or Arizona.
Cool.
Mostly Florida.
Well, speaking of training and springtime.
This seems like just a week ago we were talking about this in a positive light.
Yep. Well, how the times have switched.
Sounds like this deal went south.
Turns out that North Korea has scrapped the joint Olympic cultural event with South Korea, citing basically all the resentment from everybody else, including South Korea, South Korean citizens. Dale, would you like to share some more information about this?
So the point of this is, I believe there was doing like a cross-cultural event between the two countries in Seoul, or no, it was at Mount Kumgang. That's why I'm going to say it. Kumgang. And and so the place was just more of a celebration of the joint of the two cultures coming together. However, because North Korea felt like they're being made fun of too much, they backed out. So that's all that's happening. I believe they're still doing the Olympics together though. But overall, it's a bad step. It's a little step backwards, but I think it's still okay.
So it's not. They're still doing the Olympics,
as far as I know. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry we literally just started talking about like cultural appropriation and things like that, and then I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that's how the mountain is pronounced, but just the fact that it made a funny sounding word,
Kumgang,
made me smile, and then that led to laughing fits over here.
It looks like it's pronounced Kumgansan.
Sounds good. I just don't see the san yet. but whatever it's called, not doing the event anymore.
Yep, but they're still doing the Olympics, so that's
as far as I know. Yes.
Cool.
Kumgan-san. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they looks like they. Here, I'll wiki it to you. Not that people should use Wikipedia as a trusted source.
Wikipedia is a terrifically well-trusted source. The people who don't believe that don't understand how you find out what's a trusted source.
Just kidding.
You guys want to move to nerdy news now?
Yeah.
Yep, we're just we're gonna cite this Wikipedia article here just for.
You're gonna cite it?
Well, we're gonna put it in our.
I can't make it
bio here. Whatever, we'll make it a link later. We don't have to do it right now.
Yeah.
So moving on to nerdy news. Everyone's favorite nerdy thing, topic of this month probably is going to be, well, not the only nerdy topic this month, but our favorite nerdy topic this month is going to be Planet Comicon, February 16th, February 18th at the Kansas City Convention Center. As of this podcast being released, it'll be 14 days before the event, so we'll have 2 weeks before Drew and I will jump in a car and drive down to Kansas City with all of our stuff, and we will be ready to record and just get some awesome things going on at Kansas City. Lots of fun guests that we found out that are going to be there. One cancellation I saw, one of the guys from The Walking Dead is not going to be able to make it.
That sucks.
But still, tons of really awesome people going to be there. Awesome actors, awesome cosplayers, awesome podcasts. The worst comic podcast ever is going to be there.
Worst comic podcast ever.
SexyNerdScience is going to be there. Yeah. So we've got some awesome friends. Kansas City, that's definitely one of our favorite things to go do.
Some other nerdy news here. Or I guess do we want to talk about any more Planet Comicon stuff?
If anyone wants to make sure, like, we don't have our booth number yet, but make sure to keep checking Planet Comicon if you want to come see our booth and sit down, and we'll probably have some candy again, and we'll be able to talk and laugh and just enjoy hanging out and seeing your pretty faces.
We'll definitely post the thing on, or our booth number on Twitter and Facebook as soon as we know about it.
Definitely. Hopefully we can get you that PDF image again, like we did last year. Get a little moniker on the map too. In a little bit of gaming news, a couple of releases this past week or weekend for games. We got the new Monster Hunter game and Dragon Ball Z Fighters. Both came out this last week here. I've heard great things about both. I have not yet to play both. Josh, have you played?
So I don't necessarily play games as often as I should. However, I am a honorable and very trusting manager, and I let one of my employees, he usually shows up about an hour early for work and plays some video games, and then on his break he plays some more video games. And he got both. He's been playing Monster Hunter and Dragon Ball Z Fighters, and I love Dragon Ball Z Fighters. I love the way it looks. It sounds like the story mode's pretty cool. I'm just not a big fan of like side fighting games like that. I'm not a fan of fighting games in general. I like the adventure fighting, but like an open sandbox world for Dragon Ball, I think would be pretty fun.
Which, I mean, I think Dragon Ball Z Fighters was in the works, a little while ago, but I think there's a lot of places that are going open world. The new Fable is slated to be open world. I don't know if you heard that they're working on that or not. The new Fable is slated to be open world, and then there's the Colossal Shadow of Colossus.
Yeah,
is
another Elder Scrolls game, right?
Yeah, but that's open world, and that's a remake, but yeah. So
I will say this, that both games are just like beautiful looking games. I know it sounds really dumb. I've never been like a hunter guy, and I don't like the fact that you're hunting in the hunting game. So I was just like, I don't know if I'll ever play this, because I was just kind of like, you kill like little baby animals sometimes, and I'm just like, oh, that's sad. But it's all for the greater good.
The greater good.
And but I mean, it's also a beautiful looking game. It's got some fun gameplay. I will say that if I was playing, I think I'd have a hard time. I posted a video on my personal or a picture on my personal Facebook of the scene from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where Drax just like holds both his daggers and just jumps into the mouth of that giant beast. Sometimes I feel like that's how I would go playing Monster Hunters. I'm just like, I'd be like, who cares if I don't have enough health? And just keep stabbing. Its hide's too thick from the outside. Well, maybe I'll get on the inside and try. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. The hide's gonna be the same thickness regardless.
Yeah.
But like I would be that guy. And then also back to Dragon Ball Z Fighters. I keep making so like in the game you possess the bodies of like these different characters, and every time I'm just like, does that make me Ginyu? Like, just to quote Team 4-Star all the time.
I love Team 4-Star.
Oh, it's so good.
So kick over to sciencey news here.
Hold up real quick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention this in nerdy news. We released a video. What?
I said I didn't see that. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. We released a video. Me and Josh got to go to the North American International Auto Show in Detroit when he was here last weekend. And so we ended up putting a little highlight reel, a little like small group
5 minute.
Yeah, exactly. 5 minute video on YouTube. And we also posted it on all the social media. Definitely check it out. It's worth watching. It's pretty cool to see the different cars and whatnot.
It's beautiful. Shout out to Dale for like putting that video together and doing a lot of the recording for it. It was, I mean, I was really happy. We bought some new equipment, got to test it out, but I watched it on
I can't wait to see that gimbal in action.
I watched it on my 4K TV, and it was like Brittany was like, is this like a TV? Like, are you watching like, it honestly looked like I was watching something like as far as quality wise,
like an auto show, like car, like show.
I mean, it looked like I was watching the BBC, or not the BBC. Like I was watching Dale's favorite show on Amazon,
The Grand Tour.
The Grand Tour. Like it was like perfectly rendered, just beautiful looking cars right up front. There was a nice music montage in the background,
and I didn't use an Apple product.
It was a very beautiful looking video. And for anybody who likes, like, there's a lot of people out there that just like seeing beautiful looking cars. I
watch it.
Definitely suggest seeing it. You get a couple good shots of Detroit too, which I always like seeing. I think Detroit's still a beautiful city. Those things where, yeah, you definitely should go check it out. It's awesome. I make a guest appearance in the video, so
nice.
Now we can go to sciencey news.
All right. So moving on to sciencey news, we are going to talk about one of my favorite things, and it's not Tesla, but it is kind of like Tesla. It is SpaceX.
Woo!
Yeah. So SpaceX is they unfortunately, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. The Falcon Heavy rocket was on the launch pad. They did a couple test fires, and things were just not looking quite right. So they had to remove it from the launch pad to make way for, I believe, I can't remember what company, but there was another company, private company, that needed to make use of the launch pad to launch a payload into space. They didn't want to miss their window, so they went. So now the Falcon Heavy rocket has to try it again. But oh my gosh, the Falcon Heavy is just going to do some great things for the space race, the new space race, I like to call it, because this space race isn't between countries as much as it is between private companies. and who's going to get these contracts to send people and essentially the United States and other countries into space. I'm not trying to be rude, but there's nothing saying that if this works out great for SpaceX, that like they're not signing any proprietary contracts saying they're only going to work with the United States. If China says, hey, we want to put a base on the moon and we want to use your Falcon 9 rockets and we're going to pay you the billions of dollars you need to do it, SpaceX, I best believe they're going to do it because that's only going to help the world out in general anyways. But it would definitely hurt the United States if that were to happen. So maybe this is just Josh getting on his little soapbox here. But one of the things that I've been reading about in Bill Nye's book, and this is actually very pertinent to what's going on tomorrow. So we record this on Monday. Tuesday, the 30th, is the State of the Union. We are really falling behind as far as technology is concerned, innovation is concerned, science exploration in general is concerned. We are just being like, we had this huge leap ahead of everybody else, and now we're playing catch up to everybody else. Now we're using a lot of third-party materials from other countries. We're making use of other countries' space programs. And it's really not good news for the United States. From NASA, from our space budget, we've had a lot of revolutions outside of space. You know, we encounter a problem to build something and put it into space. We solve that problem with some new technology, and then we're like, oh crap, this new technology can be used in automobiles, TVs, calculators, cell phones, entertainment systems, video games, podcasts. Like the stuff we do with NASA and our NASA budget, which is super small, we roll that into what we're doing in our normal lives, and it makes a huge difference. And I think the Falcon Heavy, and all the stuff that SpaceX is doing is really still driving and putting, the foot on the accelerator for space exploration. And it's one of the things that I feel very strongly about. I am deeply saddened to say that the new chairman of NASA is not a scientist, and he's just a politician, and he has openly talked about slashing the budget even more for NASA. And it's one of the things that I'm kind of upset to see. But where NASA shrinks, it means that private companies like SpaceX and Virgin Galactic, and I cannot think of the other company, but Boeing and stuff, they can make up for it. They can.
Is it the blue one?
Something Horizon, I thought.
Is it Blue Horizon?
That might be it, Blue Horizon. But when they start filling the gap between private sector and government sector, like we're gonna have those holes fixed. I'm very worried that if an American company does this, that company won't stay American for very long if some other country just wants to take all that over. But yeah, Falcon Heavy rocket is 230 feet tall. It has 3 Falcon 9 cores and can lift payloads of almost 120,000 pounds into space. It is the heaviest lifting rocket we've ever built.
Nice. How well do you think it'll do? That's a lot of moving parts.
I think it'll do okay just because it's pretty much a simpler version of what they already have. I'm sorry, a more complex version of what they already have.
Yeah. But it's just like it's a 3 times multiplication of what they already have. I wouldn't be
3 times the problems.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the payload make it and the cores not make it.
So you basically would only get the one use of the cores.
I think that's probably what's going to happen. We've landed plenty of
Do you think it'll
Falcon
be
9 rockets autonomously on barges and on solid land. I'm worried that we're not going to be able to land all 3.
Do you think that it'll be 3 go up and then they split and then the 3 separate ones fall down, or do you think it'll still be 3 but it'll still land autonomously as the one unit?
I think it would be easier to control it as one unit.
I think they're actually splitting it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's what, like I said, though that's my thought process behind it is they've done the landing with one unit. Most of it is automated in itself anyway,
It is
right?
100% automated.
So yeah, for them to just basically make sure that the barges get positioned correctly, that would be the only thing, is to break them up and land them. But
so yeah, usually, I mean, the barges will be there before the launch even starts. What's going to happen is it'll launch, and then I think the 3 rockets will separate from like a main core, and then those 3 will then land on individual barges. If not, those 3 will land, one back in Florida, and then the other 2 back on barges. I don't know how they're going to do it. Like I said, I'm a little worried about the breaking apart and then all of them landing, because that does have to be automated from start to finish. There's no time to make corrections after the button is pushed. Speaking of mistakes,
no, I don't know if this is. I mean, it might be a mistake for us. Guys, ever wanted to have a flamethrower?
I mean, I have a flamethrower.
You do?
Yeah, just a can of hairspray and a
Bic lighter.
Just flamethrower.
I mean, it complies technically.
It does. I mean, it counts as a flamethrower.
All right. So,
another SpaceX-ish company.
Yeah, Elon Musk is at his shenanigans again with the Boring Company. How many hats did they sell?
50,000.
50,000 at what dollar amount?
I probably like $15 a piece, I think.
God, man, that's ridiculous. He's just making so much.
He's got a cult following, man.
Yeah. So the Boring Company is at it again. You can get a Boring flamethrower for $500. That $500 pre-order, is that the cost of the flamethrower, or is that just a pre-order cost?
That's like, for that $500, you will receive the flamethrower and I think a carrying case and a bunch of other stuff with it.
Swag.
Yeah.
So the Boring Company has a $500 flamethrower. They are currently at 10,000 of 20,000 sold. The Boring Company, if they sell all of them, will make I'm not sure what the profit will be, but they will receive $10 million for these flamethrowers. At the point in time where there was actual reporting on it, they had already sold $4 million of flamethrowers. So, I mean, they had probably like 7,000 of the inventory.
And for those that don't know, Elon Musk loves Spaceballs. And there's a very famous scene in Spaceballs where Yogurt is telling everybody about how merchandising is where the real money from the movie is made, and proceeds to show, Spaceballs the coloring book, Spaceballs the lunchbox, and then he's like, Spaceballs the flamethrower, and then demonstrates the flamethrower, and Elon Musk has incorporated some other things. So ludicrous speed is one of the things from Spaceballs that he incorporated into SpaceX. And then now the Boring Company flamethrower.
Into SpaceX? You mean Tesla?
Tesla, sorry.
Come on, Josh. You're supposed to be
we just
Tesla
talked about
guy.
SpaceX. I'm sorry. But now the flamethrower is being incorporated into the Boring Company.
I mean, I think the whole aspect of the merchandising has been, ingrained in the Boring Company. I mean, he did the hats. he did hats and something else, didn't he? He had something else to buy, right?
I think it was just hats.
Huh. I mean, he's getting there. I mean, it's still the hats and the flamethrowers. I think it's all along the same lines.
Yeah, but I just think it's funny that he's making fun. Like, he's just trolling at this point in time, and he totally knows it. And it's
how much you want to bet all those prices
remember.
or all those things that they put money for, like put money down, are zero. Like, no one's put any money down. They tried to. You go to the site, you can't do it, and like it just pops up. Oh, this is a big troll.
like, how many people do you think? Well, I think people would notice.
I don't know, just a thought.
Receipts and that the money's not being taken out of their account or something.
Well, no, I don't think that they'll take the money. I just think that like they go there and then there's an error and they're like, I'll try it later, or I'll call him later or something, and then just he's putting like stuff online or something. I don't know.
I don't think. I mean, he has no reason to not produce a flamethrower. Like,
yeah, but why a flamethrower?
Just because he's joking around and he knows people will buy it.
And I mean, I think it like Josh said, it's along the lines of Spaceballs.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a gimmick at that point, and it's gonna make him money.
And because it's a pre-order, like, he's not gonna spend money that he doesn't have on it. And in fact, I'm sure the more he orders, or the more we order, the cheaper it's going to be for Tesla and SpaceX and the Boring Company to produce these flamethrowers. I don't know who's actually manufacturing it. But yeah. And for those that are all like freaking out, they're like, is a flamethrower even legal? Yes, flamethrowers are pretty much legal in every state right now. I think there's 2 states where they're not legal.
I mentioned that
certain states require a license, but there's no. You just sign up for a license. That's pretty much it.
You get a flamethrower license, and
yep.
And they just hey, don't use this for something bad.
They don't have any.
I will say this: flamethrowers are very useful, especially in Nebraska and Iowa, for burning, like controlled burns for crops. It's a very good way to burn a field and make it kind of contained, because you can do it in an area where you're not going to catch other debris, other things on fire other than what you're directing your fire at.
That's yes and no, because I mean, depending on how thick the crop is, that can get out of hand quickly.
Yeah, but one of the good things about flamethrowers is, I know it sounds really dumb, is they're actually so hot, and the fuel source most like liquid flamethrowers use a liquid gas to shoot out, and then when that burns up, it's actually starved of oxygen, and then it goes out pretty quickly. So you can start crops on fire with it, and they won't like catch on fire and then spread, because your accelerant is all burnt up. And then once the accelerant's burnt up, there's not enough oxygen to continue the burning of the flames. So a lot of the times the flamethrower actually is a good model for just burning and not destroying uncontrolled fires. Like, it's pretty controlled fire. It's also good for ridding your house of spiders. Just kidding. Don't kill spiders, and also don't use a flamethrower to kill spiders.
Especially inside your house.
Especially inside your house.
The other thing I was going to talk, we were going to talk about last week was the 30% tariff on solar panels.
That's what it was.
Because I was going to talk.
Still got time.
Yeah. So, kind of in the same talk there. My biggest question about it is, how is that going to affect Elon's solar shingles?
So
are those manufactured, because those are solar shingles and not specifically solar panels?
Technically, I mean, all of Solar City's stuff is manufactured in the United States and would not be subject to this tariff.
Because it's only on imported.
Tariff is on imported solar panels and solar goods. However, the large scale production of solar panels happens outside of the United States.
Because they've been able to manufacture it a lot cheaper or a lot less expensive and a lot higher volume, correct?
Correct. So what it's actually going to do, from a lot of solar panel companies are saying, what it's going to do is it's going to hinder the growth of domestic solar panel growth, because it's not going to drive the cost of domestic panels down. Domestic panels will stay more costly than imported panels, and imported panels will go up in cost as well because of the tariff, and therefore less people are going to buy solar panels. So again, on my high horse kick here, reading Bill Nye's book, where he's very, very crucial about things like this. This is another step in the wrong direction.
Now, do you think this is being done to protect the fossil industry?
I would be remiss in thinking that it didn't have an influence on it, but I believe it's also, I think the major point of it, at least I would say 75% of this has to do with keeping the economy stronger in the United States. I know that sucks for the renewable energy part of it, but at the same time,
but also
it makes people buy more solar panels from the United States instead of cheaper ones from outside the United States.
Well, I understand, but also something that I've seen in the numbers is that just the amount of solar panels that were brought over for solar companies or companies that used international solar panel companies, they created hundreds of thousands of jobs just for one or two solar plant CEOs. I don't know what the companies, so
the other thing is, I mean, just because the actual solar cells might be manufactured elsewhere, the assembly of the panel and the stuff like that is probably still made in the United States, made to order for someone's use. So I mean, it is going to affect a lot of domestic jobs. I would call a spade here. There is a special interest group that's going to make a lot of money off of this tariff on other solar panel stuff, and I'm almost positive that is exactly who this is going to affect. A handful of special interest groups who are going to make a lot of money under the disguise that it's going to improve the U.S. economy and make things better for the people. I think this is the wool being pulled over people's eyes, to be fair. I think it's not going to help anything. In fact, it's just going to make things worse. It's just like investing in coal, just like...
Now, do you think that all the 100% of the Solar City stuff is made here? So all of the Elon Musk's company, everything completely? No, he doesn't get any parts from
correct
overseas?
Because he's trying to lower the cost of manufacturing by upscaling production in the United States.
Okay,
so he's taking the loss in profit margin to make these, to be able to make, so then in the hopes that as the scale of production goes up, the overall cost goes down, which is the case for the lithium ion batteries and things like that.
Yeah. That was the thing I opened up with there. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, so one of the things too, we didn't get to talk about, I know we're kind of running a little late on time here, that kind of all relates to this here, really, is there is the doomsday clock is now at 2 minutes, 30 seconds to midnight. or it was at either 2 minutes 30 seconds to midnight, or it was at 2 minutes 30 seconds to midnight, and it's now at 2 minutes to midnight. But one of the major concerns besides climate change was the idea that there is a growing anti-intellectualism being done in so it is now 2 minutes to midnight. Sorry, just got my clarification here. But yeah, so it increased an extra 30 seconds closer to midnight, and midnight is the catastrophic end of the world scenario. And the reason why this is made is basically just saying, like, we are doing the wrong things. As this clock gets closer and closer to midnight, we are putting the nails in our own coffin, is essentially what we're doing.
Has it ever clicked backwards recently?
Yeah, so it was around 2 minutes and 30 seconds to midnight during the height of the Cold War. So when we thought that we could be just obliterated by a nuclear holocaust, we were like, oh my gosh, it's going to be, we're close to the end. And then, like, as things de-escalated with the Russians and Cuba, the clock actually went back. But so the doomsday clock went up because of rising anti-intellectualism, climate change, and also just the fact that we've been pretty laissez-faire with throwing around the words that we're going to nuke people. Like, I mean, we've been very, very, very liberal with our usage of the words, like of our usage of the button. And a lot of that comes from our president, who, frankly, I mean, is being very provocative towards other countries.
As he always does. But real quick, the bulletin.org has a timeline of all the dates and when the timeline, or when the minutes to midnight has changed. And back in 1953, it was 2 minutes to midnight. And that was the height of the Cold War. But it was 3 minutes prior to that, 7 minutes prior to that, and then it goes all over the place, after and before. So it went back and forth a bunch of different times. But this is the second time it was 2 minutes to midnight.
Yeah, it was Cuban Missile Crisis in 53, wasn't it? I believe. If anybody remembers.
You're making me look up a lot of stuff today.
I'm sorry. I don't want to say it was the Cuban Missile Crisis in 53 and it not be the Cuban Missile Crisis, but I thought it was, and that was the second. Nope,
that was 62.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what was it in 1962, since you got the timeline in front of you? Sorry.
It was 7 minutes to midnight until 63, then it went to 12 minutes to midnight.
Really?
Yep.
So we were way out there.
I thought the Cuban Missile Crisis was like one of the... Granted, I wasn't alive for this. So.
Yep. So I'm just going to read what the 2 minutes to midnight little blurb it says. In 1953, after much debate, the United States decided to pursue the hydrogen bomb as a weapon, far more powerful than any atomic bomb. In 1952, the United States tested its first thermonuclear device, obliterating a Pacific Ocean islet in the process. 9 months later, the Soviets tested the H-bomb of their own. And this is a quote, "The hands of the clock of doom have moved again," the bulletin announces. "Only a few more swings of the pendulum, and from Moscow to Chicago, atomic explosions will strike midnight for Western civilizations." So, it doesn't say who said that. It just says the bulletin announcement.
And this is a group of scientists, too, that do this timeline. Like, this isn't politicians. This isn't Nostradamus. This isn't, religious figures. This is a group of scientists that put together this.
Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. I'll post a link, obviously, everywhere. But, yep, that's where we're at. I think that covers it for this week, guys. Anything you can recall offhand?
We are still in talks on who the Sexy Nerd of the Month for February will be, so you'll catch that next week on our show. You guys can go follow us on our social media, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe at YouTube. Josh, you want to tell them where they can listen to us?
For sure, you guys can hear our voices and or see our face, obviously on YouTube, but hear our voices on SexyNerdScience.com, SoundCloud, iTunes, Tuned In, or Podcast Addict.
Dale, do you want to show them where they can buy some stuff?
Sure, I'll be happy to help you.
Show me what you got.
If you guys like to support us in any way, we have 3 ways you can do that. If you guys are interested in the T-shirt, which I have behind me, you guys can buy a Sexy Nerd Science T-shirt or how Josh is wearing it at teespring.com. You can go to Patreon, support us, which that might not be started yet, but it will be very, very soon. And then also a free month on us at Audible, of Audible. And you can go check that out at sexynerdscience.com/Audible. Again, all those links are in the description. But side note, we've been putting up the YouTube videos more readily available. So definitely check that out. We're trying to have a footprint on YouTube. So if you guys like watching and listening, definitely check that out. It's the same thing, so you don't got to do it twice, either one or the other. But I know I'm more of a visual guy, so I like to, even though I like to listen at work, I like to have it in the corner of my eye and seeing it. So, but yeah.
And last time we had some images on that we showed and broadcasted as well, too, with the podcast. So,
yeah,
anytime we do a screen share, that's recorded as well.
Yeah, so that about wraps it up. Is there anything else you guys want to say? Final thoughts, Jerry? It's a Jerry Springer joke.
Oh, I thought it
was a
Rick and Morty joke.
Rick and Morty joke, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Let's be smarter, America.
Yeah, buy a flamethrower. If you don't buy a flamethrower unless you like fun. Thanks, guys. Have a nice week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Goodbye there.